Oh, yeah. Almost loaded up, y'all. Almost loaded up. And now we're just going for it. We're going for it. Let's see. Mr. Audio Tech. Drop it, drop it, drop it, drop it. Yeah, there we go. How you doing, y'all? We're going live every day, 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. And if you're watching this on a replay, hopefully we're doing a good job. Got to get this as entertaining as possible. Possible. All right, let's see what the POTUS has to say. The POTUS.
Wipe them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy.
Wiped out a big Navy. All right, so what are we talking about?
Very powerful Navy. You know, these were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off the ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are under fire as we speak. They're being hit. So the rest is going to be determination as to my attitude, along with the people in the Trump administration, what we want to do. Thank you.
The drones. The drones. The drone manufacturing company. Those are getting hit. All right, what's next?
Yeah, please.
Can I ask you, you mentioned you were going to waive certain additional oil waivers or sanctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and address in particular?
Well, we're looking to keep the oil prices down.
Are the oil prices currently down? I guess they could be higher, right? They could always be higher. So maybe he is keeping them down. I have no idea. What do you guys think? Okay. Oh, what happened there?
Have, I believe, the best generals. We have the best.
Selena girl 69. How you doing? Thank you for joining in on the chat. Yeah.
And this went very quickly. We talked about that with President Putin. He was very impressed with what he saw because nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. You know, Iran was a very powerful military country with all of the missiles. Now, you had the double attack. You had the original attack with us in Israel, and that knocked them for a loop. Then you had the B-2 bombers, which took out their nuclear capability, and they would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks to 4 weeks.
Right on the edge, you know. Thankfully, we did take them out before they got a nuclear weapon. Who knows what could have happened then?
Unprecedented.
You've told your congressional colleagues that you will not sign any piece of legislation until the Save America Act is passed. Does that include the confirmation of
The Save America Act? The Save America Act, formerly known as the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, is a proposed federal bill that would require individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, such as a passport, birth certificate, or naturalization certificate when registering to vote in federal elections. It also mandates a photo identification to vote in person or by mail, and requires states to use federal databases, including those from Department of Homeland Security, to verify citizenship and remove suspected non-citizens from voter rolls. Very cool, very cool.
So we have exceptions for the military, for sick, for disabled, and for people that are away, business trips or whatever. Even vacations will be very liberal in that. We've added 2 things to it: no men in women's sports and no transgender.
Thank the Lord. Save the women on earth. You know, that was such a stupid idea these people were thinking about doing, man. Just hurting the hopes and dreams of the women of the world, to allow men to compete with these females. Unreal.
So Democrat leadership, because they cheat. They want to cheat. So we added those 2 points. We're going for the gold, and we're going to have to fight like hell. Now, certain things will happen. Certain things will take place. I'm here to do a great job for the country. But we don't have a country if we're going to have elections that are so corrupt and so dishonest like we've witnessed over the last period of time. You know, as an example, virtually nobody has nobody has a system of mail-in ballots like we have.
Nobody. And how does the United States allow that, honestly?
No other country in the world. France went away from it. They all went, you know why? Because it's corrupt. And Jimmy Carter, when he had a commission, frankly, I think it's probably the best thing Jimmy Carter did. He said, you can't have mail-in voting because it's inherently dishonest. And it's turned out to be totally dishonest, so we're going to fight for it. Yeah.
Has Iran activated any sleeper cells inside the U.S.? There's reports that they have pressed that trigger button to activate those cells, at least abroad.
Well, they've been trying for a long time. We've been very much on top of it. One of the things we have to do is get the Democrats to stop the Democrat shutdown, because, as you know, the apparatus that looks into that, Schumer and the Democrats have shut it down, which tells you they probably hate our country a lot. But the Democrats have to open that up. But we've got very, very good intelligence into that. We know a lot of different things that have happened that have been very bad. A lot of them came in during the Biden open border period, but we have them under, we've got them, we're watching every single one of them. Yeah, we know a lot about them. The biggest problem we have is the Democrat shutdown. We know a lot about them, but the shutdown doesn't allow us to do what we have to do.
So some other good things Jimmy Carter did was he brokered peace between Israel and Egypt. It was the first peace agreement between Israel and an Arab nation. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Not a bad thing to do, might I add. He had an emphasis on human rights. He made human rights a core part of U.S. foreign policy. And he pressured authoritarian regimes diplomatically. Just a smooth operator, right? He actually avoided major wars. We're talking about Jimmy Carter here. He had no new large-scale wars. that started underneath his presidency. He also did the Panama Canal treaties. He negotiated return of Panama Canal to Panama. And a lot of people think that's a pretty bad thing to do. And it's since then been reversed, but in many ways. So I don't know. That's kind of questionable. It depends on like where you stand on that. He did a lot of humanity work. He won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. But his presidency did have some struggles. Economy, the Iran hostage crisis. But his character integrity and post-presidency impact are widely respected.
Houston, which is made exactly for that product. And so far, but it's 100 million barrels of oil, and now they have another 100 million barrels coming. And it's like a partnership. We're getting along so well with them. It's great for Venezuela, and it's great for the United States. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. You just suggested that Iran...
God's Bow has joined the chat. False night. False night. Trying to understand that, buddy. Thank you for joining in on the chat. Good to see you again. Please let me know what you're talking about. Yo, Terry has joined the chat. Good afternoon from the Philippines. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining in on the chat. Good to have you back.
Somehow got its hands on a tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report. Yeah, please.
You said earlier that we've already won in many ways, but we haven't won enough. What do you consider enough? What's your baseline?
Where they're not going to be starting the following day to develop a nuclear weapon. Where they'll look at that man and some other people from the administration and say, all right, we're not going to do it. They were not willing to say that.
How does that work? How would that work? Just completely disarm them from creating... Chat, help me out here. I'm curious. How would that even go about? And everybody, we're going live every single day of 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
But I believe that he was going to, they were going to take over the Middle East. They were looking to take over the Middle East. Now, had Operation Midnight Hammer not taken place, that was definite. Because they would have had a nuclear weapon within a matter of weeks.
Man.
But that took place. That was a setback. But look at the number of missiles they were able to buy and make over the last 6 months. And those missiles were aimed at various countries. And when you look at over 1,000 missiles shot at like UAE, they were looking to take over the Middle East. We got there first. We're lucky.
FC Moif Zemoy says Carter was just another war criminal. Goodness gracious, I did not know that. Please let me know what you're talking about. Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and we're getting some awesome messages in the chat. Like from Matthew David 4, he says, OMG, this loser, your orange daddy king is a pathetic loser. Please let me know what you're meaning about that, buddy. Would like to know the real reason you think that.
I'll tell you what, the Middle East and those countries, very rich countries, are very lucky that I was president instead of somebody else.
Mr. President, are there any points of disagreement between yourself and your vice president when it comes to U.S. action in Iran?
I don't think so, no. No, we get along very well on this. He was, I would say, philosophically a little bit different than me. I think he was maybe less enthusiastic.
Ooh, Terry dropping in some knowledge. Jimmy Carter was part of that clan from the United States that destroyed Vatican II. Liberation Theology Archbishop sent him a letter pleading him to stop sending weapons. Goodness gracious. Did not know that. Thank you, Terry, for joining in on the chat. And Matthew David 4, every time he opens his mouth is why. Everything he does. Can you give me an example, please? Love to hear what you actually think. Mr. Carrot Man, Captain Blackbird has joined the chat, y'all. We can get started. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026.
About going, but he was.
Matthew David asks if I am a Trumper. I would consider myself a centrist, just trying to find the truth, you know. I think Trump has a lot of great things about him, and he says a lot of extremely funny things. But also, he kind of contradicts himself. So, you know, a lot of people voted for him because he said he's going to stop all wars and lower the price of oil. And time has shown that he's kind of a hypocrite, but you never know.
Now in custody, those after me. So, you know, but...
yeah, W's in the chat for face tans.
People don't like to mention that, but they did catch him. And I'd like to congratulate our military, Secret Service, FBI, all of the people that worked on that, but they did. Yeah, please. Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You promised the Iranian people you would help them, but it sounds like you're willing to end this fight after your military objectives have wrapped up. Isn't that a betrayal of the people?
Will I help them? I'd like to, if they can behave.
That's such a helpful
But they've been very menacing. You know, they're great people. They have an amazing population. It's amazing, smart, brilliant, energetic. They have a great point. I'd love to help them, but they have to be in a system that allows them to be helped.
True.
And right now they're in a system that only allows failure. And I don't want that. And I want a system that's not going to be attacking us. We want a system that can lead to many years of peace. And if we can't have that, we might as well get it over with right now. Yeah, please.
Captain Blackbird has joined the chat. I think Trump is a tragic comedy. Robert Marie says, does talk a lot of PISH, but he will get the job done. Well said, brother. Captain Black added in, Trump always contradicted himself. There is a funny video on YouTube called Trump vs. Trump. It's just a compilation of Trump exposing himself, plus it's old from his first term. That's hilarious, bro. Oh my God, we gotta check that out.
Mr. President.
Matthew David Ford, did you just wake up out of a coma? Thank you, bro. Thank you. This is just the way I look. Thank you for joining on the chat. We're going live every single day of 2026. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can get these hot messages from the chat. All right, y'all.
As of today, there have been 8 U.S. military.
You know they had that many? Didn't last very long. And these are fighting vessels. They're meant to fight, but they're not meant to fight against us. We continue to target Iran's drone and missile capabilities. Their drones are way down. Their drone manufacturing's been hit starting today. We know all of the places they manufacture the drones, and they're being hit one after another. Their missile capability is down to about 10%, maybe less. We're also hitting where they make missiles and where they deliver missiles. We've struck over 5,000 targets to date, some of them very major targets, and we've left some of the most important targets for later in case we need to do it.
Amazing. All right, so what do we have here? Blackbird. Captain Blackbird.
Libya giving $25 million, Qatar, all of these countries. These are people that kill women and treat women horribly, and yet you take their money.
Not a gift to me, it's a gift to the Department of Defense, and you should know better.
Why don't you give back the money that you've taken from certain countries that treat certain groups of people so horribly?
You should be embarrassed asking that question. They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is. or I could say thank you very much.
Why don't you give back the money? I think it would be a great gesture.
I thought it was a beautiful gesture. Now, there are those that say we shouldn't be accepting gifts to the Defense Department.
F. Zimoy says 200,000 deaths. Oh my goodness, bro. Not good. Not good. And I think that is related to the Jimmy Carter chat we were having earlier. Let's see. Let me put this one here. How do I make this one a little smaller? Nope, can't do that. Oh, that's not the one? That's not the one. Oh, okay. Then we're not going to watch this one if that one's not the one. I was thinking it was going to slap harder, so it makes sense if it's not the one, because the other one should be slapping really hard.
In addition to the fact that we've taken out the leadership twice and maybe 3 times. And we, as you know, we want to be involved. We don't want another president that maybe wouldn't be willing to do what I'm willing to do for the good of the world, for the good of our nation, to be stuck with a situation in 5 years or 10 years from now. So we think they should put a president in. Or
Gino has joined the chat saying Donald Trump is the greatest of all time, also known as the GOAT.
The head of the country, and that's going to be able to do something peacefully for a change. They've been doing this for 47 years, killing people for 47 years, whether it's the barracks or even the SS Cole, where they were involved very strongly. They always denied it. But where they were very strongly involved, and all of the people that died through the roadside bombs, died and are right now walking around with no legs, no arms.
So sad.
A face that's been so badly damaged. The Iranian regime has been attacking Americans and spreading terror for 47 years, and despite these countless opportunities to renounce their nuclear ambitions, which they had just a short while ago, they told Mr. Witkoff, who is standing right over here, they said, they actually said, we want to keep building. Essentially, in a real nutshell, we want to continue to build nuclear weapons. If we didn't knock out Midnight Hammer, if we didn't knock out their Iranian potential, if we didn't do that with Midnight Hammer, they would have had a nuclear weapon. They would have used it long before now. And at a minimum, Israel would have been annihilated. I was very lucky that we had the courage to do that, that we had the talented pilots and the great equipment. The B-2 bombers are unbelievable. We ordered 25 more, by the way. The newer, better version. It's we have the greatest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world by far. You see that no matter where we go. You still need the people, though, to operate it and to use it. And those are the people that we cherish. Even after we obliterated their key nuclear sites in Operation Midnight Hammer, they never negotiated in good faith. They still continued to say, we want to build nuclear, we want enrichment at levels that were unacceptable. And they even turned down an offer for unlimited free nuclear fuel forever for civilian purposes. We had people offering them free nuclear fuel. They weren't interested in that because they wanted to build a nuclear weapon. So instead, the regime was trying to reconstitute its weapons program at a different site. They couldn't go back to where they were, the 3 sites that we obliterated, but they were starting work at another site, a different kind of a site, and that was protected by granite. They wanted it protected. Granite's pretty good, but they wanted it protected by a lot deeper. They wanted to go a lot deeper, and they started the process while rapidly building conventional ballistic missiles. They were going to do it all at the same time that threatened our overseas bases and soon could have reached even our homeland. The regime's intention was to use this exponentially growing ballistic missile threat to make it virtually impossible to prevent them from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
So
as you probably saw,
is just making sure that they don't have a nuclear weapon. which is understandable, right? And just to let y'all know, the content on this channel is intended for entertainment, commentary, and satirical purposes only. Views expressed are opinions, interpretations, and comedic takes on publicly available information and should not be taken as statements of fact. This channel may include parody, exaggeration, and humor in the style of political satire. Any references to individuals, organizations, or events are part of a commentary and are not intended to assert factual claims. Nothing presented on this channel should be considered legal, financial, medical, or professional advice. Viewer discretion is advised. By watching, you acknowledge that this content is for entertainment and commentary purposes only.
At the time we did it, I think they had in mind to attack us. And if you notice, they did something which was very foolish, very stupid, I would say. They attacked their neighbors. And their neighbors were largely neutral, or at least weren't going to be involved. And they got attacked. And it had the reverse effect.
Did you guys hear those conspiracy theories about them not actually attacking, but somebody else attacking them? I don't know how true that is, but if anyone has any data or proof on whether that Iran did not attack their neighbors, please let me know. Let them know about that.
The neighbors came onto our side and started attacking them, and actually quite successfully. If you look at Saudi Arabia, you look at UAE, Qatar, and others, but they were strong and they were smart, but they got attacked. Nobody, when I first heard it, I said, no, somebody made a mistake. There was no mistake. UAE had over 1,000 missiles shot at it, knocked them almost all down. On the very first day I came down the escalator in 2015, I said, quote, I will stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. And all I'm doing is keeping my promise. Think of that. That was in 2015. I said it. It was a threat then and a much bigger.
So Operation Midnight Hammer was a high-stakes June 22nd, 2025 U.S. military strike on Iranian nuclear sites for Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, involving 7 B-2 stealth bombers dropping GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, supported by 125 aircraft and Tomahawk missiles. It targeted nuclear facilities.
Bigger threat now, but no longer a threat, not for a long time anyway. We want to keep it that way. As we continue Operation Epic Fury, we're also focused on keeping energy and oil flowing to the world. And I will not allow a terrorist regime to hold the world hostage and attempt to stop the globe's oil supply. And if Iran does anything to do that, they'll get hit at a much, much harder level. I will take out those targets that were easy and that I mentioned just before. We'll take them out so quickly, they'll never be able to.
FC Zimoy says, what about Marshall Islands? So allegedly, President Trump has focused on strengthening ties with the Marshall Islands and other freely associated states to counter Chinese influence, hosting a historic, albeit closed-door, White House meeting with their leaders in May 2019. The relationship is centered on security, with the U.S. providing aid and military protection for access to the Pacific corridor.
For protection, we don't think it'll be necessary if it is. And if they do anything, the price will be.
Thank you for the chat. We're going live every single day of 2026, so make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications.
Incalculable. It will be so great that they will have wished they never did it, because you have to keep the straits flowing. With all of that, it affects other countries much more than it does the United States. It doesn't really affect us. We have so much oil. We have tremendous oil and gas, much more than we need. We have Venezuela now as our new partner, great partner. They've worked out.
Jimbo 1299 dropping some facts, allegedly. Man, that is wild if that's true. I can't say that on the chat, but or on the stream, but that's wild. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for joining in on the chat.
So wonderful. We're working with the administration, the president, and it's a massive source of oil, gas, everything. But we're in a very good position, but very unfair to other parts of the world, like China as an example. I mean, we're doing this for the other parts of the world, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the
Rampla too. I think it is supposed to be live right now, but I don't know. I doubt it is.
Straits.
Sometimes these channels just like replay certain things, so I don't know.
We're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. I'm going there in a short period of time, and we're protecting the world from what these lunatics are trying to do, and very successfully, I might add. We're also waiving certain oil-related sanctions to reduce prices. So we have sanctions on some countries. We're going to take those sanctions off till this straightens out. Then who knows, maybe we won't have to put them on. There'll be so much peace. But when the time comes, the U.S. Navy and its partners will escort tankers through the strait if needed. I hope it's not going to be needed, but if it's needed, we'll escort them right through. And we have the greatest mine-sweeping ability. We have the greatest ships, and all of the, we know exactly where they're placed. We'll get them out of there very fast, but we hope we don't have any of that. And
Barry McCockner is in the chat. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
again, if they do that, if they play that game, we're going to hit them at a level that they have not seen before. So we're winning very decisively. We're way ahead of schedule. Our military is the greatest in the world, with the greatest equipment and the greatest people in the world. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Iran's a very powerful country. They were going to take over the Middle East. If we did not hit them, they were going to take over the Middle East. They had thousands and thousands since their last hit. They had thousands and thousands of
Chat, thank you for joining in, Gilbert. Can you tell me what Trump is, or Atomic Rooster, can you tell me what Trump is lying about? Would love to know what he is lying about. Thank you so much.
Missiles and everything else. Most are now destroyed, but they were going to take over the Middle East. Those weapons were aimed at Middle Eastern countries that had nothing to do with this. They were going to take over the Middle East, and they were going to try and destroy Israel. So we stopped it with good timing. And
by the way, 47 is connected to Donald Trump because he is widely referred to as the 47th president of the United States, after previously being the 45th.
We're very proud to be involved in this, and it's going to be ended soon. But we had a very good talk, and he wants to be very constructive. Yeah, please. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Iran, you called it an excursion. You said it would be over soon. Are you thinking this week it will be over?
No,
Are you talking
but soon.
about days?
I think soon.
Okay, and with respect
Very
to...
soon. Look, everything they have is gone, including their leadership. In fact, there are two levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But two levels of leadership are gone. Most people have never even heard about the leaders that they're talking about. So it's obviously been very, very powerful, very effective.
With respect to Cuba, you said that Cuba wants to make a deal.
Yes.
What would the United States get in return for that, and why should Americans trust Marco Rubio to negotiate it?
Well, Marco Rubio is doing a great job. I think he's going to go down as the greatest Secretary of State in history. Look at what we've done as a presidency. Look at what we've done as an administration. They trust Marco, and so do the American people trust. He's been successful no matter where he's been. He also speaks the language, which is always nice and always helpful. But he's dealing, and it may be a friendly takeover. It may not be a friendly takeover. It wouldn't matter, because they're down to, as they say, fumes. They have no energy. They have no money. They're in deep trouble on a humanitarian basis. And we don't want to see that, but they were very, very bad to a lot of people, as you know, and a lot of people living the Cuban-American vote, which I got at record levels. Very important. Those people are very important to me. I know what they went through. They went through hell. Some of them have gone on to be some of the most successful people in the country. Cuban-American business people, some of them are like the most successful in the country. And a lot of them are friends of mine, because I've been fighting this battle with them for a long time.
Malika Tika has joined the chat and says he's lying about Iran wanting to take over the Middle East. Israel is the one that wants to take over Lebanon, Syria. Exempli gratia. He is the worst president in history ever. Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day of 2026, so make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're trying to find the truth here. Thank you so much. And let me know if you guys agree with Malika Tika. Thank you for your chat.
The Castro regime was brutal, but they lived off Venezuela. Now they don't live off Venezuela. Sends them no energy, no fuel, no oil, no money, no nothing. They lived without Venezuela. They couldn't have made it, and we cut them off from everything else. So, yeah, they're going to make either a deal or we'll do it just as easy anyway. Yeah. Please, go ahead.
There's footage that show that an American missile strike and a Tomahawk missile likely destroyed that Iranian girls' school. So will the U.S. accept any responsibility?
Well, I
for
haven't
that strike?
seen it, and I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, you know that. And whether it's Iran, who also has some Tomahawks, I wish they had more, but whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a Tomahawk is very generic, it's sold to other countries, but that's being investigated right now. Yeah, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, you've said the war is, quote, very complete, but your defense secretary says this is just the beginning. So which is it, and how long should Americans be prepared
Well, I think
for
you could
this war
say
to
it
last
both.
for?
It's the beginning of building a new country, but they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft equipment. It's all been blown up. They have no radar. They have no...
Chat, if they don't have any of this, how does Iran have a chance, honestly? What do you think? Or is he, like some of you in the chat have been stating, he's lying? So make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day of 2026.
No telecommunications, and they have no leadership. It's all gone. So, you could look at that statement. We could call it a tremendous success right now as we leave here. I could call it, or we could go further, and we're going to go further. But the big risk on that war has been over for 3 days. We wiped them out in the first 2 days. When you think about it, it's incredible. We wiped out a big Navy, very powerful Navy. These were ships. These were serious ships. These were ships that you buy when you want to win battles. They're all on the bottom floor. The sailors are all running off the ships. They refuse to get on the ships. The Air Force is gone. Everything's gone. The missiles are down to a trickle. The drones are down to probably 25%, and they'll soon be down to nothing. We'll have where they manufactured the drones are.
All right, y'all. So we have this perspective, and then we have another perspective.
Donald Trump.
And, we're trying to find the truth over here. We don't really know what's going on, but maybe in the chat we can find the truth and we can find peace. So let's see what this gentleman is saying.
Trump and the CIA are mocking the enemy. What we are watching in Iran is part of a scripted movie. The enemy is the gatekeepers, the people putting out the information, the people really getting triggered by Donald Trump right now. So Donald Trump has just done his announcement where they rescued the pilot. And he said it's like finding a needle in a haystack. And if you listen to what he says here.
A runway. This was a farm, not a runway. It's a farm, but it did the trick. But to have a contingency as opposed to having to wait 2 days, can you imagine right in the middle? This was central.
The farm. He's leaving us the clues. What is the farm? The farm is a covert 9,000-acre CIA training facility.
What? Okay, that's the farm. And where is this? Located at Cannery?
Located at Camp Pirro, Virginia.
Virginia. Okay.
Used for training Directorate of Operation Officers, this high security site hosts clandestine tradecraft training, including surveillance, evasion, and intelligence collection in a simulated hostile environment. And he says this location is central casting. Central casting is a performance from the Central Intelligence Agency.
This was right, you would call it central casting if you were doing a movie for location.
If you're doing a movie for a location. Mike Amara has joined the chat. How you doing, buddy? His professor at Wharton, which is a college, is that School of Business? In 38 years of teaching, called Trump the dumbest student he ever had. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026, and we get amazing chat comments like this from Michael Mara. Thank you, Michael Mara.
And probably the toughest area of Iran.
He then even calls on the CIA director, and look how he introduces him.
The man he's central casting, okay? If we cast a movie, he's going to play the head of the CIA. He's one of the few. John Ratcliffe, he...
Did Erica Kirk fly to there? Captain Blackbird has joined the chat.
He did a phenomenal job that night. He did something that I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you
Central casting. It's all a Mockingbird operation.
Also, central casting, LA is like a place where you get actors and models and those types of things. I don't even know if it exists anymore. But what did he say? A Blackbird? What?
I don't know if you want to talk about it. If you
Central casting. It's all a
Mockingbird operation? Operation Mockingbird was a covert CIA program initiated in the late 1940s to infiltrate and manipulate domestic and international media to promote U.S. foreign policy and counter Soviet propaganda during the Cold War. Under this initiative, the agency recruited journalists, editors, and media executives as agents of influence, often paying them to plant fabricated stories, shape narratives, and suppress unfavorable news. Operation Mockingbird. Okay. I should know these things, right? Amateur hour.
Mockingbird operation. The CIA are working within the shadows, cleaning up. And there's so many people that tell you the CIA are the bad, but Donald Trump says, no, they're the best.
CIA was unbelievable. And you may, if you can, you'll talk, it might be classified, in which case I'd have to put him in jail if he talks about it.
And if you listen to John Ratcliffe here, the military operation only works with the finest intelligence. The intelligence agencies work with the military.
One thing that has been clear to me in this role is that the flawless military operations that the Department of War is known for are
flawless, without a mistake, just perfect.
Hostage to flawless intelligence. We saw that in the skies over Iran in Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. We witnessed it in Venezuela during Operation Absolute Resolve. We've seen it against the cartels in the Western Hemisphere, and we're seeing it every day in Operation Epic Fury, including this mission.
And to echo on that, Q has also showed us, look, if Trump knows everything, control over what organizations are central to the operational success, look, the DOJ, the FBI, the NSA, the US military, the state and foreign assets, ask yourself, if above are all central to the operational success, who would you pick to lead such organizations? The Central Intelligence Agency. And then it brings us then to Obama, which so many of these people get triggered on. If you go to this post here, the renegade for this Islamic regime, this gatekeeping, trafficking snake of a system, he set them all up. And right at the bottom it says, farm work takes special skills. All of this is starting to come together now, and the real enemy is exposing themselves just by their reactions to the information now, because everything we're watching is now a movie.
Don B 1971 has joined the chat and says Project Esther. And what is Project Esther? Well, I will let you know. Project Esther is a policy initiative and strategic blueprint developed by the Heritage Foundation, a conservative American think tank, officially released on October 7th, 2024, titled Project Esther, a national strategy to combat anti-Semitism. It aims to dismantle what its authors define as a global Hamas support network operating within the United States. How can we find peace? That is the question. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every day of 2026.
And they have lost complete control of the narrative.
As an agency, The CIA possesses unique capabilities that only the president can deploy. Some of these capabilities fall under covert action authorities.
Cap Wins has joined the chat, everybody. How you doing, buddy?
And because covert means exactly that, I'm not going to be able to tell you everything that you want to know.
Everything you want to know? He can't tell you.
At the president's direction, we deployed both human assets and exquisite technologies that no other intelligence service in the world.
Captain Blackbird has joined the chat. Big club, and I'm too broke to be in it. Yeah, where are the aliens, dude? Where's the aliens?
The world possesses to a daunting challenge comparable to hunting for a single grain of sand in the middle of a desert.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's what it is.
Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem.
Okay, so let's talk about that culture. Black people have been legislatively subjugated up until 1965. I'll give it, I mean, honestly, it's later, but let's just say 1965. You do not think that 10 generations of legislative subjugation and slavery during that time, 4,000 black men, women, and children are lynched as the result of race riots in this country? You do not think that these things have a lasting effect? We have had 10 generations of subjugation and 4 of legislative freedom.
Of course they have an impact, but it's more on you to explain why things got worse.
At some point, the United States
more violent, less fathers around, poorer. Why is that? So,
because of mass incarceration and the unfair criminalization of black men.
But let's just take murders, for example. Why blacks are 13% of the population and commit 58% of the murders?
That's a very, very wild statement, y'all. 13% of the population and create 58% of the murders. Do you think it wasn't Project Esther, but the other one, Mockingbird? Was this a Operation Mockingbird to kind of try to persuade certain people of various cultures and backgrounds, particularly in this case, Africa, to commit crimes through media? Are they inspired through media and music, like maybe rap music or movies, television shows? Captain Blackbird has joined the chat. In topics like these, I always say the truth lies in the middle. There can be truth on both sides. It's not always black and white, but gray. Gray, for sure. Michael Hibiki, how you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Michael Mara, Charlie Kirk, civil rights was the biggest mistake the U.S. made.
At some point, the United States.
This is a wild one, y'all. And sometimes I feel kind of like, should I even play it? Because it's just, it's so taxing to even think about. And a lot of people say they have so much truth behind what Tucker Carlson's going to say, but do we actually have the truth? Oh, Leon Vium says Kirk was a total shole. Please explain yourself. Would love to know the reason. And make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026.
Has to get BB under control. Sorry.
Do you think USA could ever get BB under control, by the way?
It's not anti-Semitism. This is a head of state whose decisions are getting Americans killed and affecting the history of the world. And
are there a lot of Americans that have died? How many Americans have died in Iran this year? 13 U.S. service members have been confirmed extinguished in 2026 conflict with Iran as of mid-March. So about half a month. An additional 14 U.S. soldiers extinguished in a non-combat related incident, bringing the total American military extinguishments during the war to 14. Okay. Is this accurate?
And the fortunes, but also the future of the United States. The United States has to say to the government of Israel, you are not in charge. And
chat, will the USA ever be able to say that to Israel? What do you think? You know what's wild is I had a conversation with someone before Trump's first term, and he was like, man, Trump is so wild. He's going to take us to war. He's going to take us to war. And I was like, I don't know. Maybe.
And no president since John F. Kennedy has been willing to say that, but no administration has paid a higher cost for.
Yeah. JFK. Akara says, join the chat. How you doing, buddy?
Going along than the current administration. And it's tragic when you think about it. And of course, it's not simply the administration, president, and everyone who works for him. It's the country and the people who voted for this president in the hope that he would improve their lives. And none of that will be possible if this continues. The fault, of course, is with anyone who went along with Bibi's demands or threats or whatever. But.
And also, do these people have a choice? You know, that's a wild thing. Vice Vito says, peace begets peace. Well said, man. Yeah, how can we find peace? That's the number one thing to do for sure. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We're going live every day 2026.
The root cause is Bibi and his ambitions. And so somebody immediately needs to say no.
And will anyone ever be able to say that? What do you think, chat? What do you think? And then we have, like everyone's favorite in the chat, Mr. Donald Trump threatening the media. Was it his first time?
But we thank God for every single one of them and the talent. The genius is not even talent, it's genius. It's the whole ball game, every one of them. Now, if you look at what we did with Maduro, we went into a military compound, a massive, with thousands and thousands of soldiers, and within a matter of minutes. And he lived behind iron doors. There were steel doors, broke them down so quickly. And within almost minutes, he was in the back of these planes. It was a similar group. Incredible. We have incredibly talented people. And if the time comes, we move heaven and earth to bring them home safely. We're going to bring our people.
That'd be good if he can actually bring those people home safely. Yeah. Captain Blackbird has said, there are many real journalists on the field. Many of them have been extinguished the last few years. May their souls rest in peace. Absolutely, 100%. Did you see that story with Dave Chappelle going in on Bill Maher? This is quite wild.
Bill Maher, the famous comedian. I've known Bill since I was like 18, 19 years old, and I've never said this publicly, but that guy.
What would he say that for? What would he say that for?
I'm so tired of this little smug, cracker-ass commentary. These motherfuckers act like because I did a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia, I somehow betrayed my principles. They said, well, Saudi Arabia, a journalist, and rest in peace, Jamal Khashoggi. I'm sorry.
Which I heard was a wild story. Goodness gracious. What's his name? Jamal Khashoggi. Okay. Jamal Khashoggi. But listen to the rest of this. This gets very wild.
Okay, I'm sorry that he got murdered in such a heinous fashion. I mean, look, bro, Israel's 240 journalists in the last 3 months. So I didn't know y'all was still counting.
Yeah, man. No reason to hit those journalists, man. Come on, what y'all doing? Actually, I have no say in anything.
People home safely. I want to thank every member of the U.S. Armed Forces involved in these historic operations. They really were historic. It's just not something that's done.
Yeah, Dave definitely has a backbone, and kudos to him to actually call him out, you know, and then also deliver those facts. Michael Mara states 2 of those journalists were U.S. citizens. I'm guessing of the 243 that died in the last, or that were extinguished in the last 3 months.
And you'd understand it. Not that they don't want to do it, but when you're going into areas, when you look at these helicopters, when you look at the amount of bullets and everything else that they took, when you go into these areas, you don't come out like we came out. God was watching us, I tell you.
The Lord is watching. The Lord is watching. Speaking of, I Miss Oklahoma 1 has joined the chat and says, God bless our brilliant president. He is fantastic. Thank you for joining in on the chat. We're going live every day at 2026, so make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.
Yeah, well, it was the Easter. We were in Easter territory, I guess, but God was watching us. It's amazing. Because when you look at the machinery, they took damage. It tells you, first thing I said is, these are unbelievable machines, how they flew back and not even much of a problem. But these 2 extraordinary rescues, because it was 2, and as you probably know, we didn't talk about the first one for an hour. Then somebody leaked something, which we'll hopefully find that leaker. We're looking very hard to find that leaker. And talked about there's somebody missing. They basically said that we have one and there's somebody missing. Well, they didn't know there was somebody missing until this leaker gave the information. So whoever it was, we think we'll be able to find it out because we're going to go to the media company that released it, and we're going to say, national security, give it up or go to jail. And we know who, and you know who we're talking about, because some things you can't do, because when they did that, all of a sudden, the entire country of Iran knew that there was a pilot that was somewhere on their land that was fighting for his life. And it also made it much more difficult for the pilot.
Does anyone know how that pilot went down? Like, was that actually a malfunction in the jet, or was there something else that happened?
And for the people going in to search for him, all of a sudden, they know that there's somebody out there. They see all these planes coming in. It became a much more difficult operation because a leaker leaked that we have one, we've rescued one, but there's another one out there that we're trying to get. So actually, the country, Iran, put out a major notice, you all saw it, offering a very big award for anybody that captures the pilot. So in addition to a hostile, very talented, very good, very evil military, we had
one of mine rocks missiles. Okay, thank you so much for helping me with that. Terry says Khashoggi was a journalist who walked into the Turkish embassy and was taken out in a suitcase after being extinguished. Wild. May his soul rest in peace. I Miss Oklahoma 1 says Trump helped the FBI get info on Island Man E. All right, that's a good thing to do, right?
millions of people trying to get an award. So when you add that to it, but we have to find that leaker because that's a sick person. Probably didn't realize the extent of how bad it was. I can't imagine that the person did, but we're going to find out. It's national security, and the person that did the story will go to jail if he doesn't say, and that doesn't last long.
Oh my gosh, Captain Blackbird. By the way, I'm sitting on the side of the road with a flat tire, no spare, so thanks for entertaining me. I think there's phone numbers you can call like for roadside assistance. I don't know what country or state you're in, but sometimes you can just call certain numbers, and they're not really emergency numbers, but if you're like on the side of a road, they might be able to help you with bringing a spare or one of those types of things. And yeah, man, keep us updated with what's going on, Captain Blackbird. If we can help, let us know.
And I think everybody would understand it. They put this mission at great risk. They put that man at great risk, and they put the hundreds of people that went in looking for him, because everyone now knows that we're going in. Over the
kill the intelligence.
Make sure y'all like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're going live every single day of 2026. Yeah, I Miss Oklahoma knows. That's right. And we're building an amazing community over here. And thank you for being a part of it. Y'all make me so happy. I hope I make you happy.
Chief of Iran's Islam.
Nick Nobody joined the chat. How you doing? From Mary Lego to Island Man E.
Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This person's name is Majid Khademi. This is
the Fury in the Gulf report. IRGC intel chief killed in strikes.
The latest news that is coming in. This is via
Chief Majid Khademi.
Reports claiming that the intelligence chief of the IRGC has now been neutralized in US-Israeli strikes. And important to note here, these are US-Israeli strikes. Sometimes we have seen only Israeli strikes really carried out against certain leadership. But it looks like once again the whole US-Israeli combo is back as far as mounting these killings is concerned. My colleague Siddhant continues to be with us. Siddhant, what more are you learning?
Well, yes, that's right. So
Nick Nobody says, I liked, now I need to hate. Thank you for joining in on the chat, bro.
So US-Israeli strikes have killed the intelligence chief of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Majid Khademi. This is what we have got to know. In fact, Majid Khademi was a brigadier general of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps who was simultaneously, Shivani, serving as the head of the Intelligence Protection Organization of IRGC and Intelligence Organization of the IRGC since 2022 and 2025 respectively. In fact, on June 2025, Khademi was appointed as the new head of its intelligence division. He was replaced by Mohammad Kazemi, who was killed along with other Revolutionary Guard officers from Israeli strikes on June 15 last year during the 12-day war. So he was recently appointed as the head of the intelligence wing after the 12-day war, and now we're getting to know that he has also been assassinated in US-Israeli strikes.
But you never know. It could have been the Dems that flattened Captain Blackbird's car, bro. You never know. You never know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Pakistan and Afghanistan are going at it. Pakistan responded by declaring open war against Afghanistan. Oh, man. I guess that's another conflict. Yeah, might as well have another conflict in the same region, similar region. Man. Wonder what's happening with all this division, honestly. Can't we all just get along?
He wasn't even president when we had him on. No. But he still was.
April. That's Kai Trump.
The average American on the average day commits 3 felonies every day.
Chat, would you agree with this CIA agent that every American commits 3 felonies every single day? How wild is that?
if they decide they want you, they don't like your politics, they can get your metadata, find crimes that they can charge you with, and ruin your life. And there's nothing you can do to protect yourself.
What is it that you know about the nature of the reality that we all live in that the average person really has no idea about?
Number one, John Kennedy called the CIA the best and the brightest. And we're not. We're just average.
What do these people gain by hyping them up if they're just average? Or maybe he's not being honest right now.
People. And we're not as smart as we think we are. We're not as worldly as we think we are. We've pretty much missed every major global development since 1947, from the rise of the Berlin Wall to the fall of the Berlin Wall to the fall of the Soviet Union to the Suez Crisis and the Iran hostage crisis and 9/11 and everything else. We missed it. We're really good at day-to-day, updates for the president. We're really good at recruiting minor hangers-on around terrorist groups, but the big picture items, we're just not good at it. Number two, until 9/11, it was against the law, like in stone, to spy on Americans. And now, billions of dollars are spent spying on Americans, whether it's NSA or CIA or FBI or intelligence community contractors. Nothing is secret. Nothing. And to make matters worse, let's say maybe you did do something that law enforcement might be interested in. They don't need a warrant anymore. They don't need to go to a judge and say, well, we have reason to believe, blah, blah, blah. All they have to do is just buy your metadata because it's for sale. Just go to the carrier. Just buy it. They don't need a judge's order to do that. It's all out there. We've made ourselves vulnerable. All of our lives are out there, whether it's on Facebook or X or Insta or whatever. If they really want to get you, they're going to get you, which reminds me of a book written by Dr. Harvey Silverglate. He's a professor of law at Harvard, and it's called 3 Felonies a Day. And he argues in this book that we are so over-criminalized, so over-regulated in this country that the average American on the average day going about his or her normal business commits 3 felonies. Every day. You may not mean to, but you do every day. So if they decide they want you, they don't like your politics, they can get your metadata, they can go through that metadata, find crimes that they can charge you with, and ruin your life.
Calvin Jackson has joined the chat. Mega. How those mortgage rates going? Thank you for joining in on the chat. Speaking of the drones that Trump was talking about, this is some technology I don't know if you guys have actually seen before, but quite fascinating.
Говорят, что я не вижу, что перед пуском меня вижу.
Some type of Slavic language. Don't know exactly what it is, but if you look at this little thing he has here, it looks like some type of maybe I don't know, a pistol of some sort.
Подожди, солнце горят.
But you see it, and it looks just so interesting. You mind frame there? Yeah. I think like this part, I don't really know what's going on here. I can see like some motors and some props. There you go. I see 3 props here. But it's such an interesting thing.
Делай.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Из-за солнца не видит.
Oh, he doesn't show it when it's detonating. So here's a drone up here. And so that drone flies off, and it's loud.
Далеко все приходит. Видно? Да, все хорошо видно. Давай, пожалуйста.
So wild. So wild. I guess we all need a fart joke once in a while.
Oh my God!
There's so much joy here, and like that performance was just so wild. So like he brought so much attention to himself and then just spun, and then, you know, he's got a fart machine. Obviously he didn't fart on those ladies, but their reaction, like he's bringing joy and he's not bringing the stink. So it's pretty cool. Humor Bagel on Instagram, really cool. So he draws a lot of attention at first, does this dance, like the girls think he's gonna chat with him, and then
Oh my God!
You've said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing?
Yeah, that dude is completely a menace, bro. For sure. Well said. Like, Dennis the Menace. So she's saying Iran would be mad if you stopped bombing them. This is kind of interesting to me, y'all. What do you think? Do you agree with this lady?
Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing to... They would be willing, and it's suffering. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom. The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom.
Calvin Jackson has joined the chat. Hey, MAGA farmers, how are those soybean sales going? Thank you for joining in on the chat. How are they supposed to be going? I miss Oklahoma. That's great. The Right Opinion. Yeah. The Right Opinions says, I live in Florida and they're trying to remove property taxes. All right. That's great. Great news, right? Michael Mara says they are using wired drones like the ones in Ukraine, so EMP won't work. Yeah, actually with the wired drones, that's a fiber optic wire. And the reason they use that is because Russians and Ukrainians have these signal scramblers. So if you're at 2.4 or 5.8 gigahertz, it'll swap you. So it'll change your channel out of, you know, like your 8, 16, or 32 channels, however many channels your radio has. It'll swap it. So say you're on channel 2, it'll throw you to channel 4, or it'll scramble your channel. But with this, and then you'll lose sight. You won't lose like remote receiver, but you'll lose sight in your FPV goggles. But with the fiber optic, that fiber optic is consistent with your goggles, so you have consistent vision. But if that fiber optic wire gets cut, then you have no chance of recovering that drone, and innocent people can get hurt. And a lot of animals are getting caught up in this fiber optic wire, and it's a mess over there, man. It's a mess. It's brilliant what technology is doing, but unfortunately, too many people are getting hurt.
They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot.
Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
failing?
Are you concerned?
New York Times is failing. Your circulations are low.
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No, not at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators.
Why would that
and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran. We're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a standpoint, any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
It means violating international law.
Quiet. You no longer have credibility.
You no longer have credibility. You no longer have... The way he answers some of these journalists is just absolute comedy and comedy gold. We're going live every day at 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications.
New York Times, because the New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election, and I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election.
So what happens after they inaccurately write a story about Donald Trump and then he wins after that? Like what actually happens? So they can't really get... I don't know what can happen, you know, like what do you think, chat? What can happen? But they definitely do lose their credibility if they start writing inaccurate stories.
Action. New York Times has no credibility. The credibility they have is it used to be all the news that's fit to print. The old gray lady, it was great, but they're running on past fumes, and you can't keep doing that. You have to be able to give the correct news, and people like you, who I know, are fake. You're fake.
You've said Iranian.
And that's actually what we're trying to do here, provide that correct news. And we're going live every single day at 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. And we have this guy over here. He just bends over laughing out of just pure comedy. Dude does a 360 fart, which is wild. Never seen that in my life. Helicopter fart. Look at this guy, dude. He's laughing. Whoops. He's so weak. He's like laughing. He can't even walk anymore, bro. That's just so funny. That's so funny. And you want to know how important timing is in life? Timing is just like absolutely extremely important. And we have this guy who's just like playing around with death. And this is a bull. And this bull is going to chase this man over here. And he already has a few things in his neck. The bull has those sharp things. He touches his head. And he thinks he's free. He's running towards this gate. He's going to jump. He's like, this bull's not going to catch me. Jumps. Dude, the bull is chasing after him. Tara has joined the chat. How you doing? Thank you for joining in the chat. The bull jumps after him. Grazes him with his head. And then watch, the bull is going to smash his head into this wall. Boom. Oh my gosh. Have you ever done that? That hurts so bad. He lifts up his leg. And those guys on the other side, they just start running. But anyways, guys, we're going live every single day at 2026. So make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow your dreams, and don't let the haters get to you, you know? Just let all that hate roll off your back like water does off a duck's back. Follow your dreams, and I love you. The Lord loves you. I have to go right now, but I'm going to try to be back in about